Thanks, everyone. I'll jump right into it here. We got plenty to talk about. First, I'm going to talk about what an ecosystem is. I think we all kind of know, but obviously the planet we live on is the most complex ecosystem that we work with. Talk about some characteristics of ecosystems. They're very diverse. They have a lot of different inhabitants. They're very well balanced. They're very natural. There's things that grow. There's things that die. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, why that's important. You need things to die in an ecosystem because it's what feeds other things. It's very important. Rainforest, that's another one that we know about. Usually, in a lot of cases, an ecosystem will start after some sort of cataclysmic event. This is some lava flowing into the ocean from the Hawaiian Islands. We all know that there was nothing there until the volcanoes kind of came up and created created the islands there. And after a long time, we had this. We got habitat for turtles, all kinds of things going on in the ecosystem in Hawaii where there was nothing. Eventually, they had grass and trees and all kinds of plants and birds and all this stuff that just naturally evolved over a very, very, very long period of time, certainly more time than we've got. But it is an illustration of something that was there after nothing was. Now I want to talk about a software ecosystem. Software ecosystem is something that I call an intentional ecosystem because there's intent in creating it. There's intent in what we want from it. Most ecosystems are natural. They form. They're just there. They are how they are. But it's important to talk about ecosystems, I think, because a lot of times people, you see communities, they want to be like Silicon Valley. They want to replicate Silicon Valley in their area. And I don't think you can do that. We can't do that here. One of the aspects of the ecosystem of Silicon Valley is the weather. I don't know how we're going to create their weather here. What we need to create is our own ecosystem in Nebraska. We don't need to be the Silicon Prairie. We need to be the Midwest. Forget Silicon Valley. We don't need to follow them. We can be bold. We can lead, be our own system. But I think it's important to approach it like an ecosystem, understand what an ecosystem is, why an ecosystem works. I think that's something that we can create a sustainable change in the state. We can add software into it, as well as preserving all of our agriculture and other resources and things like that we have. But looking at an ecosystem, we have to look at what we have here already. We have to look at the characteristics of a software ecosystem, what makes that up, and so figure out what we need to do in order to try to create this. So we'll go through quickly some of the aspects that I think are important in a software ecosystem. First, you need ideas. You need good ideas to start businesses. I kind of believe there's a progression you go from an idea to a product to a company to a business. The business, it's profitable, it continues to grow, it is sustainable. Before that, it's all a bunch of steps. You have ideas, you have bad ideas, you have good ideas. It's important to recognize that when there's a bad idea, you need to tell somebody it's a bad idea, inspire them to do better. But you need lots and lots of ideas to get those products. The next thing you need tolerance for risk. You need more than tolerance, though. You need an acceptance of risk. Not all companies are going to succeed, nor should they. Just like in a natural ecosystem, some things die. Well, some companies won't succeed, nor should they. It's important that you look at the life cycle and say, okay, company starts, people learn, they grow, they hire employees, they do something different than what was there. And if they fail, if they go out of business, so what? That's part of the evolution. You need leadership. You need folks that are willing to stand up and say, look, I'm going to take that risk. I'm going to build that company. You also need leadership in the community. You need folks that are willing to embrace and help with businesses, help with all other things you need in the community. You need support. You're trying to build a business, there's a lot of things that you need to do, you need help from. It could be as simple as a vendor you're working with to get t-shirts printed. You say, look, I need some extra time, money's tight. They say, okay, hey, no problem. I believe in what you're trying to do, and we'll support you. It comes in all kinds of tangible and intangible ways, but it's very important to an ecosystem. Most importantly, you need people. I'll talk for a while until the slide flips, and I'm going to talk a little more later. People is by far the most important thing. And those of you that know me know that I'm very, very passionate that I don't look at things as a business. I look at it as a family. You need all kinds of different people. You need a diverse set of people, diverse sets of skills, diverse age ranges. Doesn't matter whether they're straight or gay or black or white or smart or dumb or whatever. You need all these different kinds of people. That's part of the aspect there. If everybody was the same, we wouldn't get the creativity that we have. It's very important that we embrace that as a community, that all kinds of weird-looking people like me, you got people in business suits, whatever, they're all needed because we all contribute something unique. That's what makes an ecosystem. As other folks have talked earlier about things you need, cohesiveness within your businesses, that is important to have as you build the people together too. But people's our most precious asset. The other thing you need in businesses, of course, is money. The good thing is there's lots of money everywhere. There's lots of money in this state. I used to think that the biggest problem we had was a lack of money. That is not true. There is so much money out there that's willing to be invested in businesses. But I think when you're trying to build an ecosystem, you need to understand what are the motivations for the money that's being inserted into that? Do those motivations align with building an ecosystem? Is it a VC model where people are just saying, I'm going to throw my money in, I want a return, I don't care what happens, I'll sell the company if needed? You need inspiration. This is one that I tend to overlook and I forget about, but people need to be inspired. You're sitting there grinding it out on your business, trying to get it started, you're working late at night, night after night, you're just like, am I doing the right thing? You need inspiration out there to feel good, like, yes, I am doing this. I know this is right. And it may just be you're at a coffee shop and talking to somebody, say, I'm starting a business, and they're like, hey, that's great. Tell me about it. And just that little bit of inspiration. Or maybe it's going to a talk like this and being inspired by people like Tanner is important. You need education. And this is not really popular, but just going to university, getting a 4-year degree and starting a business, that's not going to work. You need innovative education, creative education. Things like the way they teach at the rake school. It's not about narrowing people's focuses and say, you're going to understand and get a degree in this really minute thing. The rake school, they spread people. You learn about business, you learn about software, you learn about innovation. You learn that when you're given a problem, there may not be a right answer to it. You've got to think about all the different variables. This is one I want to spend a little bit of time on. This slide here to me represents two things. It represents patience and it represents vision. Basically, this is a vineyard. A bunch of grapes are growing here. It takes a long time to cultivate the vines and get them going. You need to take care of it. You need a lot of things you need to do to support it. But when a lot of people, they may just see, okay, I've got grapevines, I'm going to grow grapes, and that's great. And that's what they get out of here. But somebody with vision may say, I see more than this. I see beyond this. Now, I see wine. I'm going to create something that's harder to do, that takes even more patience, but I see where others don't see. That's something that I think is really important in entrepreneurs. The folks that say, I see beyond what everybody else sees. And we need to help inspire and teach that. When somebody has an idea that you think is crazy, maybe we just don't see it. They maybe have the vision that's beyond us. So we need to support that and grow that. So now, I've laid out really quickly here, in quick 18-minute talks, kind of some of the aspects of a software ecosystem. We understand a little bit about what an ecosystem is and that it's diverse and all this kind of stuff and resilient. I want to talk about the things we've got in Nebraska that I consider assets to building a software ecosystem. And I can guarantee you talk to people in some other places, they're going to think that they're negatives. I think they're positives. We've got people that are very loyal, they're very hardworking, we're very humble. That is a challenge because a lot of times we don't get up and beat our drum and say, wow, we're doing these amazing things. We're just humble going, yeah, we're doing this thing here and it's really cool, but we're just trying to get heads down and do it. We have to celebrate those things. We got people that are very family-oriented in this state. I think that's important. That's counter to the viewpoint of a lot of startups. The idea of a startup is, oh man, you're working 20 hours a day and you're just singularly focused and forget about everything else. That's not sustainable. I did that for 20 years and I wouldn't ask anybody to do that. It's important that people have well-balanced lives, especially now with kind of the millennial generation we have. People want to have more than just a job they grind themselves at. The fact that we've got good families and good viewpoints like that in the state is very important. We're very patient in this state as well. The capital that gets invested in companies is very patient. It's not saying, look, I want a return right now. It's like, let's see how things go. And we're very ethical here. I spent a lot of time in a lot of different places. I can tell you that you look around at everybody here, and you take a lot of things for granted that you don't see in other places. People that are at a job somewhere, they get a job for a little more money, they'll just take off and go. They don't care the impact it has somewhere. They'll lie, cheat, whatever. It's not cool. And here, we just don't do that in this state. I really do think there is something different about Nebraska. And people in other states say, oh yeah, Iowa, we're different and whatever. I really believe Nebraska is different. The one challenge I think we have is we don't recognize that we can be much more than we are. A lot of times we're not bold enough to be great. We're not to say, look, we don't need to follow other people and do what other states are doing. We can define our own path. We can lead. We are pioneers. That's something that we forget, and that I think that we need to instill into our young folks. One of the other things I think is important is culture in a business, and I got talked about earlier, but it's important to understand that when you build a business, a lot of things you can do in that business will impact a lot of people's lives and your community's life. And being involved in your community, I think, is an important aspect for starting businesses, because the community is what's going to support the business needs to support the community. We're wired like that in Nebraska, not like that in Silicon Valley. There's 2 points I want to hit on that typically get missed by everybody that's trying to talk about building a startup environment in a region or whatever. It's resiliency and longevity. Those are 2 very important things. I see a lot of places where it's like, hey, let's get some money, let's get some companies started, and then, okay, there's an opportunity to sell the company, take the money, and, well, then what do you have? That's not longevity. I think it's really important to focus on, if we're going to build an ecosystem, you've got to lay the groundwork. You've got to have foundations of things that are there for a long period of time. And from my viewpoint, what we need to build are a handful of software companies they grow pragmatically. They're going to weather recessions. They're going to grow and add more employees. They're going to be resilient enough that they can lose some of those employees. You need to have an environment within these companies where you are growing people, that everybody needs to believe that they are a student and a teacher. It's important to learn from folks that can teach them something, and it's also equally important for them to teach others. That's something that really gets missed in a lot of companies, a lot of cultures. If you want to grow your business, make your business better, the best way is to have everybody at your organization be a teacher. That will help attract folks that want to advance in their careers a lot faster, because they know, I can come to this organization, I can get a lot out of it while I put something into it. If you build a company like that, you build businesses that way, you'll have folks that will be inspired to go start their businesses. They'll leave, they'll take some employees with them, the business will support that, and you'll have this foundation that can be built on and can spring out lots and lots of other companies. That's a big difference of what I think Nebraska can do compared to what I've seen any other place try. I've spent a lot of time talking to a lot of people in a lot of different regions. Nobody's looked at it this way. The resiliency standpoint is very important as well. It's too easy. People, they take too big of risks. And okay, well, too many things fail, and they never get the system started. We have to build things that can withstand all kinds of things that are going to hit it. The sequoia trees we've got up here, these things, they're fire resistant, they are hundreds of years old, they weather all kinds of stuff. They're very resilient, and that's the way Nebraska is. We're tough. We weather the hard winters, all this kind of stuff you hear about, how things were in the 30s and the Dust Bowls. People are like that. There's no reason that we can't build companies like that too. No presentation of mine would be complete without some bullet points, so sorry. But I wanted these bullet points because when people look at these later, I want them to see this stuff and think about it. I'll hit these fairly quickly, but building software companies, the reason I'm doing it, other than I don't know anything other than building software, is the types of jobs it creates. They're high-paying jobs. They're exciting jobs. They attract the best and brightest people. I'm a believer that we have to help everybody in the community. Those that know me know that I look at everybody in the community. But if we build companies that are going to attract and keep our best and brightest people, those are the people that will do the things that help take care of the rest of the community. So I think it's important to look at it like that. Imported dollars is another one I want to touch on, because a lot of times people don't understand what I mean by that. There's a lot of companies, Bread and Cup. Hey, they're a local business. Folks go there. They have their lunch. They exchange money. The money just flows. Just rotates in the city, and that's very important. Don't get me wrong. But we also need other things. We need to bring money into this state. Think about a software company. The day the website goes live, that company is global. You think about a company that is global and selling across the world, most of that money is going to be from customers outside of the state. Those dollars come into Nebraska. They get paid out in wages, paid in taxes, they're donated to the community, paid back to investors. The net result is more money is now in Nebraska. That's a very important thing long term. And if we can bring billions of dollars into this state that we didn't have before, that really changes the picture. The other thing about software that I think I certainly forget because I just get too deep into things, but all of you may not really realize is it's everywhere now. You can't spend 10 minutes of your life and not be affected by software in some way. That's important. So if software is the center of our world, why not make the software in Nebraska or software in the country centered around Nebraska? One more slide, sorry. Okay, so this is my plea to you, to get involved, help build this ecosystem. We need the community to help make this happen. There's a lot of things that you can do to help. They're listed up there. Basically, if you know somebody who's trying to start a business, help them out, encourage them, but also challenge them. Tell them that you can do better. Mentor people. Be a role model. If you've got a business, be a role model for folks so they can aspire to be like you. Be a connector. If you know somebody with an idea, there's somebody that needs money, connect them together. That's the importance of that can't be understated. Not having connections are the biggest reasons why people don't start businesses. So you need to help with that. With that, that's my presentation. Thank you very much. I'm leaving one more thing. Thank you.